Have you ever wondered if the ocean keeps certain secrets on purpose? Not out of malice, but simply because the human world moves too quickly to notice? There is something ancient and almost amused about the sea. We watch waves roll onto the shore and think we understand it, as if calm water were honesty. But the ocean has never been that simple. It is older than mountains, quieter than memory, and more mysterious than any of the stories we tell about it. Before we drift any deeper, if you enjoy calm videos like this, feel free to like and subscribe, and let me know where you're listening from and what time it is. I always enjoy reading your answers later in the comments. From the shore, the ocean looks like a single place, a blue sheet stretching toward the horizon. But beneath that smooth surface lies a layered world, each depth with its own rules, creatures, and quiet ambitions. The sunlight zone feels familiar, almost comforting, as if the ocean were trying to ease us in and gently. Fish dart through coral cities, turtles glide like unhurried philosophers, and waves cast shifting theater lights on everything below. Here, the ocean appears friendly, a place warm enough for curiosity. But descend only a little farther, and that familiarity dissolves. Light fades into a soft blue dusk, then into darkness. Shapes blur, colors vanish, and life begins to improvise. Tentacles glow with living light, jaws hinge wider than seems reasonable, and bodies evolve not to be seen, but to remain unseen. Down here, survival feels like strategy rather than coincidence. It's tempting to think of the deep as empty, a silent void. But the truth is far stranger. The deep ocean is busy in ways we don't yet understand. Entire ecosystems thrive without ever seeing the sun, living not on light, but on chemistry. Hydrothermal vents, underwater chimneys spewing heat and minerals, form oases where life gathers like whispered conversation. Shrimp, crabs, and translucent organisms circle these vents as if warming their hands around a fire. It feels almost cozy if you ignore the pressure strong enough to flatten steel. What fascinates scientists most is not just that life exists there, but how effortlessly it does so. Creatures drift and flicker as though following choreography written long before humans began measuring anything. It reminds us that life on Earth didn't begin in comfort. It began in extremes, in darkness, in heat, in water full of possibilities. Maybe that's why the ocean feels like a memory rather than a landscape. We come from it, whether we acknowledge it or not. Every wave that reaches the shore carries a fragment of history. The ocean remembers everything: storms, ice ages, wandering continents, forgotten species. Sediments settle like diary entries no one intended to write. If you could read the seafloor like a book, you'd find worlds that existed long before ours. The ocean doesn't brag about this. It simply holds the information quietly, like a librarian who already knows the ending. And yet, despite all this age and wisdom, the ocean remains playful. It paints sand into ripples, sculpts islands, arranges shells in patterns no artist would dare attempt. It sends tides to remind us that nothing holds still for long, not even the land. Some coastlines grow, others disappear. And humans, for all our cleverness, are merely temporary tenants. The ocean even toys with sound differently than air does. Voices carry farther, deeper, rounder. Whale songs drift for hundreds of miles, long, patient melodies that seem less like communication and more like meditation. A single note might travel through darkness for hours before another whale hears it and answers. It's like listening to time itself have a conversation. And then there is the silence, the kind that feels full rather than empty. Divers often describe it as comforting, as if the ocean understands that humans sometimes want a world without urgency. Even currents move with unhurried certainty, circling the globe like invisible conveyor belts. They deliver warmth, nutrients, memories, and, occasionally, forgotten messages in bottles. The ocean hides its secrets not by locking them away, but by being too vast for us to gather them all. Even today, much of the seafloor remains unmapped, as if the Earth decided there should always be room for mystery. Technology dives deeper every year, but the dark stays just one step ahead, not resisting, simply waiting. Perhaps the greatest secret of the ocean is how much of Earth depends on it. It carries heat across hemispheres, generates most of the oxygen we breathe, and shapes weather patterns like a silent conductor. But it never asks for applause. It rises and falls endlessly, as if unaware of its own importance. Humans have always sensed this. Ancient sailors prayed to the water not because they feared it, but because they recognized its authority. Myths about sea gods and monsters weren't mistakes. They were metaphors for humility. People understood that the ocean does not argue, negotiate, or apologize. It simply exists, patiently, endlessly, confidently. And maybe that's why standing beside the sea feels grounding. You can't outthink it or intimidate it. You can only listen. The waves arrive, pause, and return, like breathing, like reassurance, like a reminder that life has been doing just fine without us for billions of years. Sometimes the ocean reveals just enough to keep us curious. A glowing bloom of plankton, a new species floating like a folded ribbon, a sound no microphone has ever recorded before. These glimpses feel like invitations rather than answers. The ocean knows that mystery is its most powerful form of beauty. And the deeper you imagine descending, the more wondrous the questions become. What else is living down there, beyond our reach? What geological stories are still tucked beneath the seafloor? How many forms of life exist that we haven't yet imagined? And perhaps most intriguing, why does the ocean feel familiar even though most of us have never seen its depths? Maybe because, in a way, we carry it with us. Our bodies echo its chemistry, our hearts follow its rhythm, our dreams drift like currents. Even our emotions come in tides. So when we sit in silence and listen to the ocean, not as scenery, but as presence, something ancient stirs. Not memory, exactly, but recognition. A sense that we have not traveled as far from our origins as we pretend. The ocean doesn't rush to reveal its secrets. It prefers to let curiosity age slowly, like salt smoothing stone. And perhaps it understands something we forget, that knowing everything removes the wonder. Some truths are meant to unfold gradually, like the tide returning to shore. If you enjoyed this short version and you'd like to explore the full explanation, you can tap the longer video that will appear on your screen. And if you already feel sleepy enough, then I wish you a peaceful night. Good night.